putting aside, you know, the, you know, some of the, you know, theistic evolution, why do you believe, when you come to this, what makes you confident that when God made Adam, that he's speaking historically at that point?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that we all know that there's symbolism. You know, this idea that you know, I see the charge level, well, you're just all literalists. I don't know anyone who, honestly, I grew up in a fundamentalist Pentecostal church. You know, I know literalism when we see it, you know, but I don't think that anybody here doesn't understand that we read some things with, you know, with symbols, and we read some things with you know, some things as history.
Yeah.
When I read Genesis 1, and all the way through 1 through 11, I don't have a problem reading that historically, that God does these things.
What I find interesting in raising the question of evolution a few minutes ago, I suppose that's the specter that has really clouded things.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I emphasize, I'm not a scientist. I don't know the answers to all of these questions. I just think there's some questions. But as a theologian, coming to the Scripture, it appears to me that a number of people who want to make Adam and Eve into allegorical characters, and not real historical beings, it feels to me that they're doing so because the evidence of science,
Mm-hmm.
as they call it, does not line up with what's here.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them will actually say that,
Yeah.
that expressly. So what do you do with what's here? Because if you're a Bible-believing Christian, you want to say this word has authority and is accurate in what it teaches,
Mm-hmm.
and useful and profitable for all kinds of teaching and doctrine and righteousness. So that's my concern, that sometimes outside forces
Mm-hmm.
are, and your word was scientism, are shaping the way we end up reading the Word.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just leaving all of the science behind, when I look at Genesis 1 in Hebrew, it's very clear to me that this is a narrative poem.
Mm-hmm.
This is like an epic poem. It has characteristics of repetition that Hebrew poetry has. So it doesn't mean that what's here is untrue. It just means the writer decided in this first chapter especially in most of your English versions will have an indentation. It'll show, some of them will actually layer it like a poem. It'll show the poetic value there of it. Okay, so what does that mean? Here's how I've been thinking about it. This is the first time I've ever tried thinking this way, so let's see if it works. I love the poem about good fences make good neighbors. Maybe that's one all of us will know.
Okay.
But it's by Robert Frost. So it's the story of two people in New England.
Hey, listen, I'm a public school grad. I didn't even know that was a poem.
Well, I pastored in New England, so I guess I went back to this one quite a few times. I'm a public school grad too, so. But the poem is two neighbors come out once every year and mend this fence. But the fence is a stone wall. It's in New England. There's so much stone they put the stones on fence lines, and that's how you tell the difference. And if your cattle or something are there, they'll get through the holes. So you repair or mend the fence. But it's not like barbed wire. It's rock. So the two in this poem come to mend the fence. And at the end of it, every time, the neighbor, older than this younger man that had just arrived, says, good fences make good neighbors. Well, I have to wonder, okay, the poem is very effective in that way. I have to wonder if Frost ever experienced that. You know, so I'm thinking, was this based on a real event? Did he know someone that happened to, or is he just imagining this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm taking that here, and I look at the Scripture, and first of all, it's not Adam and Eve writing about it, is it? It's someone that wasn't there, but is being given revelation by God what to say.
Right.
If you don't believe that the Scripture is a human book only, There are some who will say that, but if you believe God's in process of this, then there's some respect that is due to the Scripture as you walk towards it, to hear it. But you also respect the style of literature that it is. So we understand some of the apocalyptic symbolism of the book of Revelation is kind of mysterious.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean. I'm just trying to. I'm thinking about this because I understand that, but it seems to me that when it is allegorical or when it's clearly so. For instance, a lot of the picture of Revelation. I mean, it's like one person said, do we really think that the Whore of Babylon is sitting, that large,
right,
so,
yeah.
but in
that
Genesis,
seems more obvious.
Yeah,
so, that's where I was going to head.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
Because the poem of Robert Frost, if it's not based on actual events, it sure could be.
Okay.
So we would only need to hear from the author whether or not it was, if we were concerned about that. I think this story, and I use a story in a very good sense. I'm not using it as a myth.
Right.
I think this story tells a story that is accurate and is meant to give us some sense of what happened.
Okay.
But it's not going to give us a sense of everything that happened, either before it or after it. But at the end of the day, what are you supposed to say when you reach the end of chapter 1? God made every single thing. And if you don't say that, I think you're missing the point of this. And there are things you can unfold from that. God also made humans. It's the only one of the events where he speaks to himself, consults himself. God said, let us make the human in our own image, male and female. And it reaches an apex right there at the end, in the 6th day. This is the crown of the creation. If we eliminate that part of the story and say God didn't actually do that, God did not make Adam and Eve, the whole human race does not come from one couple, I think you begin to tear apart the foundation of the rest of Scripture, at least as the people who were writing it understood it, because Paul, for example, will say, we call God our Father, who made, from whom all of humanity has come, the origin of us all, the Father of us all. So we have this common sharing thing. As a theologian, what I do with that then is I speak about what it means to be in the image of God. That is one of the most important items we as Christians have today. In fact, I think it's the major leg up that we have on every other form of moral argument.
It's interesting that you mentioned, because yesterday, was it yesterday, the day before, what is the probe that just went by Pluto?
Yes, Last Horizons?
The New Horizons.
New Horizons.
New Horizon just went past Pluto,
Right.
3.6 billion miles
Right.
away, shooting back pictures. I was thinking it was kind of ironic because I was thinking about what our conversation is going to be here and about man as the crown jewel of creation. I was thinking, look what man is capable of. Stunning. Getting out there to it, and we haven't. I don't even think we've scratched the surface yet of what's possible.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, and being made in God's image. That what I was thinking of is that we are made in God's image, with the ability to do such incredible things. I'm not quite sure how to balance it, but I was thinking it's amazing. Here, Dr. Cross and I are going to talk about being made in God's image, and here we are exploring the entire universe and beyond, and learning things and doing things that was inconceivable even 50 years ago, and man, that's an amazing thing.
Yes.
Amazing.
It should have been front page news on the New York Times today, but it wasn't. It really should have been, because this is, to pass within 7,000 miles of the orbit of this item that's 3.6 billion miles away is astounding.
Yeah.
And the United States now is the only nation that has, from Mercury to Pluto, sent something by it and
Yeah.
investigated it further. And now we have 6 more months of data coming in that
Yeah.
they'll have to sort through.
16 months.
16 months.
16 months. Yeah, it's already almost 2 million miles past Pluto.
Yeah. I guess that shows you when you don't have, when you have a vacuum, it's less difficult to get really some speed built up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What I see, though, about that isn't just, I mean, they could probably say, well, we've reached an evolutionary apex and we now have the ability to do such wonderful things.
Well,
I
actually,
think you and I can see that it's, okay, there's something that has caused us to do this,
yeah.
but it's, why would we even want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
What is it in us that is more than just the instinct that's in the animal?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm convinced we have instincts, but I think a lot of modern science and modern psychological science in particular goes very wrong when it suggests all we are a bundle of neurons and instincts.
Well, amazing. Almost all of what you read today, in terms of psychology of man, it's all based on evolutionary psychology, and of course Freud was a part of that, and Carl Jung, who was was very into the occult, incredibly
yes,
into the
it
occult.
was, yeah.
And we're modeling a lot. We're taking over a lot of that stuff. It's amazing, but so I think you're right. I think that we're looking in all the wrong places for some motivations. We're also looking in the wrong place for to think that we can rehabilitate some things that are just evil instead of understanding sin as
Sure.
as it is. Sin was a foreign thing that came in and afflicts us, and
Right.
that.
And for me, then, the two things that would be lost if you do not in some way maintain that Adam was really there,
Mhm.
however you want to say it, the historical Adam, or was really made by God. The two things that are lost that are of major doctrinal importance are the image of God and sin.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those seem to be, okay, if this is just a story, then tell me what is the truth
Yeah.
in that story. What do we take away from that, and why is it important at all
Yeah.
if it's just a story?
Well,